Governor Sheriff Boriwori urges participants of Senior Executive Course National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies to provide roadmap to mitigating nation's challenges. Member representing Ogele North 1 constituency in State Assembly suspended over alleged misconduct. Academic Staff Union of Universities threatens nationwide strike. And abroad, South Africa president to sign contentious national health bill into law. A very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us on the Delta Television main news at 8. Joy Uche is my name. Participants of the Senior Executive Course 46 of the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies NIPSS Kuru Jos in Plateau State, who are on a study tour of the state, have been challenged to provide a roadmap for policies that will mitigate the nation's challenges. Governor Sheriff Boriwori gave the charge today when he played host to the participants led by Air Vice Marshal B.D. Solomon in Government House, Asaba. Ejime Udueme reports.
Governor Boriwori said NIPS, being a high-level center for informed research, reflection and dialogue, the nation looked up to the participants to provide a roadmap for true policy initiatives and execution. He said the institute had remained Nigeria's foremost thinking cap in developing a group of high-class technocrats, noting that the institute had contributed significantly in deepening the frontiers of democracy in Nigeria and other African nations by providing a platform for learning and sharing of ideas. The governor said the choice of Delta State for the study was a good one and assured the participants that information they needed will be provided.
You are therefore saddled with the responsibility of managing policies and strategies that shape Nigeria and indeed Africa. Delta State is a state that believes in continuity and have promised Deltans that we're going to do more for them.
The NIPS team leader, Air Vice Marshal David Solomon, on behalf of the Director General of the Institute, Professor Ayo Omotayo, said the Institute serves as the nation's foremost policy think tank and development of high intellectual capacity leaders. He commended Governor Boriwori for the state's sustainable socio-economic growth and development.
So the Institute equips such leaders to conceptualize and anchor the implementation of innovative and dynamic policy initiatives and strategies that are critical for national development. The motto of the Institute is, quote unquote, towards a better society.
Air Vice Marshal Solomon said the visit would enable the participants gather verifiable information on the policy thrust of the present administration. Ejime Uduime reporting.
Duties for 14 legislative days by the State House of Assembly over alleged gross misconduct. Honorable Omolade's suspension was sequel to motion moved by the Majority Leader, Honorable Emeka Nwobi, seconded by the Chief Whip, Honorable Parkins Umokoro, at plenary. Favor Okafor brings details.
The Majority Leader, Honorable Nwobi, citing sections of the House rules, faulted Honorable Omolade's conduct and called for his immediate suspension.
Law of Delta State 2008 for any person to willfully publish any false or perverted report of any debates or proceedings of the House or a committee, or willfully misrepresent any speech made by a member in the House or in a committee. And whereas it is an offense
The motion was unanimously supported by other lawmakers through a voice vote by the Speaker. The Speaker, the Right Honorable Emomotimi Gwo, then ordered Honorable Monade to submit all official properties in his possession, including his official car, to the House management and ordered that the lawmaker be escorted out of the House of Assembly chamber. A 5-member investigative panel led by the Majority Leader was then set up by the Speaker to investigate activities of the lawmaker and report back to the House within 1 week.
The Honourable Member of one state constituency shall forthwith withdraw from the presence of the House for the period of the suspension. The Honourable Member of the fourth state constituency should immediately return to the management of all government properties in his possession, including the official vehicle.
On the second reading of the law to amend the Delta State Administration of Civil Justice Law 2022, led by the Majority Leader, Honorable Emeka Nwobi, the lawmakers unanimously agreed that the amendment sought by the governor was to extend the transition period for a case management and the facilitation of efficient conduct of civil proceedings to 24 months as against the earlier 12 months transition period. The Speaker then called for a motion for the suspension of the relevant House rules to pave way for a third reading and passage of the bill. The Delta State Administration of Criminal Justice Law also enjoyed same amendment. Thanking the lawmakers for the speedy passage of the bills, the Speaker said the amendment will further strengthen the judiciary in the state. Earlier, on the matters of personal explanation, the member representing Oshimle South constituency, Honorable Bridget Anyafulu, informed the House of the burial rites of the Asaba monarch, Obi Chike Edozien, scheduled to commence next week. Favor Okafor reporting.
The Speaker of the State House of Assembly, the Right Honorable Emomotimi Gwo, has described Governor Buriwori's leadership style as a divine mandate from God, geared towards improving the lives of Deltans. Honorable Gwo stated this during an interface with journalists ahead of the 1-year anniversary of the present administration in the state. Again, Favor Okafor reports.
Honorable Gwo said through the more agenda of enhancing peace and security, Governor Sheriff Oborowori had performed well in enhancing the protection of lives and properties of Deltans and commended the governor for the timely manner normalcy was restored to Okwama community, Uili South, after the destruction of the community following the killing of 16 military personnel. On infrastructure development, Honorable Gwo, who represents Warri Southwest constituency, maintained that the 78 billion naira flyover projects in Warri and Efun awarded to construction giant Julius Berger indicated that Governor Borowori was focused on initiating new projects and completing all inherited projects from the immediate past administration, some of which he said will be commissioned on or before May 29.
You agree with me that His Excellency has done excellently in terms of security, most especially the Warri access.
On unemployment and youth development in the state, Honorable Gwo explained that with the swearing-in of a new state chief job and wealth creation officer, the issue of unemployment will soon be a thing of the past. He described Governor Borowori as a youth-friendly governor who had demonstrated great passion for the youth through political appointment, especially the State Executive Council, stressing that the development had boosted the confidence of youth in government activities.
Going into action like this support is going to work to see how opportunities are created for the youth, for the teeming unemployed population.
The Speaker expressed satisfaction with the smooth relationship between the executive and the legislative arms of government in the state, noting that the governor had continued to maintain a symbiotic relationship with the state legislature towards delivering dividends of democracy to Deltans. Honorable Gwo drew attention to the agricultural and power sectors, saying government was working towards increased food production and the repeal of the Delta State Power Sector Law of 2022 and enactment of the Delta State Power Sector Law of 2024 to provide a comprehensive framework in electricity generation, transmission, distribution, and protection of consumers' rights. The Speaker, on behalf of the state legislature, congratulated Governor Borowori on the 1-year anniversary and prayed God to bless him with strength and wisdom to take Delta State to greater heights. Favor Okafor reporting.
As the local government elections draw closer, Deltans, especially politicians, have been called upon to uphold ideals that advance peace and entrench true democracy. The Chief of Staff, Government House, Honorable Johnson Arijo, made the call while addressing youths from Aniocha South local government area who were at Government House, Asaba, on a peaceful protest concerning the forthcoming council elections. Honorable Arijo told the youths that their demand for chairmanship position to be zoned to Nsukwa clan will be communicated to the governor for action and urged them to remain peaceful. He said the incident that led to the resignation of the Commissioner for Technical Education was an indication that their earlier protest letter was already being acted on. The leader of the group, Comrade Onyisi Okolie, said the youths were demanding that the Aniocha South chairmanship position be zoned to Nsukwa clan, stressing that the resignation of the Technical Education Commissioner would not alter their demand. The youth said they were not interested in the commissionership position, declaring that their demand remained being given the position of chairman of the local government. The youths later presented the protest letter to the Chief of Staff for onward delivery to the governor. The state government has advised Deltans to live in peace and harmony with their neighbors and protect oil installations in their communities while waiting for the outcome of government negotiations with the NNPC Exploration of Production Limited's NEPL, a subsidiary of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. A special advisor to the state governor on peace building and conflict resolution, Chief Edwin Uzo, stated this when he held a meeting with some leaders of Ogbodu community in Udu local government area. Henry Onogwa reports.
Chief Uzo said the meeting was to give a fair hearing to the aggrieved Ogbodu community following petitions to the state government against the NEPL company, who acquired a large portion of community land and leaving it fallow for over 30 years. He said the community expressed their grievances over the company's recent pronouncement on relocating the proposed flow station to Emadaja community without reason and had decided not to protect the pipeline. The special advisor enjoined the President General of Ogbodu community, Deacon Joseph Eni, to mobilize his people to protect the pipeline.
We've agreed that they should go home and maintain peace of the place and talk to the community elder youths that they should not take any action other than what they have done.
Chief Uzo said the Emadaja community had expressed dissatisfaction with the company over the siting of a flow station in another community, whereas the company has explored oil through its oil well in their community. He charged the Ogbodu community not to take any action as government would handle the situation amicably. The aggrieved Ogbodu community expressed satisfaction with the state government's resolution and pledged to maintain peace in the area. Henry Onogwa reporting.
The Delta State Oil Producing Areas Development Commission, the SUPADIC, has commenced inspection of ongoing and completed projects across its mandate areas. The exercise aimed at identifying infrastructural gaps and prioritizing project completion began in the Ishekiri mandate area and is expected to cover all ethnic nationalities under the Commission's purview. The project's inspection team, led by the chairman of the commission, Chief John Nani, and the managing director, Chief Executive Officer, Chief Festus Sochonogo, visited project sites in Warri North and Warri South local government areas, including the Alema Multi-Purpose Hall in Abiborodu, the Ultra Modern Markets in Ubeji, and the administrative block at the College of Education in Warri. Addressing journalists after the inspection, Chief Ochonogo emphasized the importance of completing projects to boost development of the communities. He expressed concerns over abandoned projects and gave an assurance that the Commission would ensure completion of ongoing projects. On the inspection were Chief Ogenekome Okubo, Executive Director, Finance and Administration, Chief Talib Tebite, Executive Director, Projects, Honorable Nicholas Sefele, Executive Director, Planning, Research and Statistics, and Chief Sani Ofe, a representative of the Shekiri ethnic nationality, on the governing board of the Commission. Arrangements are in top gear by the Delta State Independent Electoral Commission, DSEC, to conduct free, fair, and credible local government elections in the state. Chairman of DSEC, Dr. Jerry Agbaike, gave the assurance today where he led top officials of the Commission on a courtesy call on management of Delta Broadcasting Service, DBS, Asaba. Gift Onosha reports.
Dr. Agbaike said the commission with its corps of commissioners and other personnel was set to change the narrative in the conduct of council elections in the state. He thanked the DBS Asaba for its continued role as a partner in progress with the commission over the years, which he said was critical in the areas of voter education. The general manager of the DBS Asaba, Mrs. Christine Jobome Emetulu, said the station would not relent in its efforts at informing and educating the people on the policies and programs of the state government, pointing out that mass awareness and enlightenment was key to the dissemination of information. The DBS General Manager assured the DSEC team that the station would continue to give the Commission the necessary support in that regard within its resources.
And as the communication machinery, we have been doing this through the years, and right here again, we say we are ready to partner with you in that regard. We want the activities of the Commission to be well publicized. We're ready to do that as well. And we have been doing that, and like roles in that regard, and we will continue to do for you.
Later in an interview, the DSEC chairman decried the rate of voter apathy among the people and called on Deltans to participate in elections, saying the full participation of the masses made political office holders more accountable to the people.
I've always said that, because voter apathy in this part of the world is not very, very encouraging. It is very important that Deltans participate in the electoral process, in exercising their civic responsibilities. The reason is that when you vote someone into office, that person takes very, very important decisions that affect you. So that's why you have to be part of the enfranchisement process, so that in case of anything, you can communicate with your leader, your political leader, to get things right.
The visit was witnessed by top officials and management staff of the Electoral Commission and the DBS Asaba. Gift Unosha reporting.
Meanwhile, the DBS Asaba General Manager also today played host to the executive of the Performing Musicians Association of Nigeria, PMAN, Delta State Chapter, over again to Gift Unosha for details.
Thank you.
Receiving the visitors, the DBS Asaba General Manager, Mrs. Christine Jobome Emetulu, noted that the media played a vital role in promoting cultural values, particularly through the entertainment sector. She underscored the need for concerted efforts to halt the decline of the preservation of the people's cultural heritage, especially as concerns the speaking of indigenous languages.
We do know that many of our cultures are becoming extinct.
Yes.
In many of our homes, they cannot speak their languages, either because of mixed marriages or because of indifference on the part of the parents to train their children in their cultures, including their languages.
Mrs. Emetulu congratulated the newly elected governor of the Delta State PMAN, Comrade Isioma Osai, on his emergence as leader of the performing musicians body, urging him to make an impact on the fortunes of the association. She used the forum to enlist the participation of the Delta State PMAN in the station's forthcoming Children's Cultural Festival, billed to hold on the 27th of this month as part of activities marking the Children's Day celebration.
We decided to use it as a platform to boost the culture, the rich cultural heritage of the Delta people. On that day, we expect the schools and individuals that will be coming, the children, the youths, to be attired in their cultural outfits, just like you are.
The governor of the PMAN Delta State chapter, Comrade Isiama Osai, had earlier informed the DBS general manager of his emergence as head of the musicians' body, soliciting the support of the station in creating awareness of the body and its activities in the state.
To let the government and the general public know that PMAN has done their exclusive election and we were successful and we have been in office for some couple of months now.
The Assistant Secretary General of the Delta State PMAN, Comrade Ayo Ashedu, who accompanied the PMAN governor on the visit, gave a display of his prowess on the local flute to the admiration of all. Management staff of the broadcasting station witnessed the visit.
To come on the Delta Television main news at 8, President Bola Tinubu bans members of Federal Executive Council from purchasing petrol-dependent vehicles. Details of this and more shortly. Stay with us. You are watching the Delta Television main news at 8. President Bola Tinubu has banned members of the Federal Executive Council, FEC, from purchasing petrol-dependent vehicles. President Tinubu has also directed the mandatory procurement of compressed natural gas, CNG powered vehicles by all government ministries, departments and agencies. The special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Chief Ajuri Ngelale, in a statement in Abuja said the directive was in line with the president's commitment to energy security and cuts in high fuel costs. The statement explains that the president's directive was in furtherance of Nigeria's efforts to transition to cleaner energy, as CNG-enabled vehicles had been adjudged to produce lower emissions, even as they present a more affordable alternative for Nigerian energy consumers. President Tinubu affirmed that there was no turning back in the energy reforms initiated by his administration. The federal government has said a new wage system based on employees' productivity in the civil service was being considered. The Director General of the National Productivity Center, NPC, Dr. Nasir Raji Mustafa, disclosed this at a meeting with labor correspondents in Abuja. Dr. Raji Mustafa explains that with the system, workers on the same level could earn different wages. He said the formulation of an innovative wage system was being considered because government had realized that productivity was a key factor in the growth of the economy. When asked if the new proposal on a productivity-led wage system was having the support and input of the organized labor, the NPC boss said such a task could not be carried out without the input of labor. He said the report on the first phase of the study was ready, adding that the next stage would be to engage various stakeholders to consider and make inputs before finally presenting it to the federal government for its consideration and possible adoption. President Bola Tinubu and the Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, will now pay airport access to and parking fees at any of the nation's airports. This was as the Federal Executive Council, chaired by Tinubu, approved a memorandum from the Ministry of Aviation scrapping toll exemptions for all very important persons and government officials using the airports. The minister, Mr. Festus Keyamo, who announced this to journalists after today's fake meeting, argued that the government was losing over 82% of the revenue it should have earned from the e-tax that provide access to the airports. He explains that a memoranda had initially recommended an exemption for president and the vice president. However, President Tinubu overruled the recommendation, insisting that him and the VP, alongside their aides, must pay tolls. Minister lamented that VIPs who have the money to pay tolls are evading payment, leaving the authorities to rely on charges gotten from the poor. Mr. Keyamo vowed to end episodes where uniformed officers harass airport staff at the gates, assuring citizens that more cameras will be planted in strategic positions to capture those culpable. He said the federal government generates 10 billion naira annually from tolls, even as it considers a rebates for military veterans. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has threatened to embark on another nationwide strike to protest absence of governing councils in all federal universities across the country, among other issues the government is yet to address. Professor Osodike stated this in Abuja today while giving a goodwill message during a sensitization workshop for heads of beneficiary institutions on career service centers, teaching practice, beneficiary identity management service BIMS, and hostel development organized by Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TETFund. The body, which records that the federal government dissolved governing councils of the universities in May last year, has asked Nigerians to hold the government responsible for any decision it takes to protest the action of governments. President Tinubu's administration had in June 2023 dissolved all the governing councils of federal universities in the country. Federal universities have been running without governing councils for the past 11 months, and that has led to crisis in some institutions. Professor Osodike also charged TETFund to consider punishment for universities that are not utilizing the fund's projects, while emphasizing the need for proper assessment of how the funds are utilized. The Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, today met with key major oil marketers to address the issues of incessant scarcity of petroleum products in the country. The NMDPRA Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Farouk Ahmed, who briefed newsmen on the outcome of the meeting, assured Nigerians that depot owners and members of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, will not shut down supply as the NMDPRA has started the process of paying the debts owed the depot owners with verified documents. Last month, IPMAN had threatened to cripple the supply of premium motor spirits, PMS, also known as petrol, over non-payments of 200 billion naira bridging claims. Furthermore, the NMDPRA boss hinted that major marketers lamented their inability to import petroleum products. He assured the oil marketers that stopgaps like the Dangote refinery will bring succor, even though as businessmen they have the final say on where to source products. Mr. Ahmed also disclosed that a major conversation they had was in the area of compressed natural gas (CNG) initiative of the federal government. He employs the major marketers to explore availability of CNG in the gas stations, as President Bola Tinubu has directed that government vehicles to be purchased henceforth must be CNG powered. The global scene is next as we join our World News Desk.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrived in Kyiv today in the first visit to Ukraine by a senior U.S. official since Congress passed a long-delayed $61 billion military aid packages for the country last month. The previously undisclosed trip aims to show U.S. solidarity with Ukraine as it struggles to fend off heavy Russian bombardment on its northeastern border. Mr. Blinken, who arrived in Kyiv by train early today morning, hopes to send a strong signal of reassurance to the Ukrainians, who are obviously in a very difficult moment. Artillery, long-range missiles known as ATACMS, and air defense interceptors approved by President Joe Biden on April 24 were already reaching the Ukrainian forces. Mr. Blinken will reassure Ukrainian officials, including President Volodymyr Zelensky, of enduring U.S. support and deliver a speech focused on Ukraine's future. Kyiv has been on the back foot on the battlefield for months as Russian troops have slowly advanced, mainly in the Donetsk region, to the south, taking advantage of Ukraine's shortages of troop, manpower, and artillery shares. Russian forces hold a significant advantage in manpower and munitions. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa is due to sign into law a contentious national health bill that aims to provide universal coverage to millions of poor citizens. The National Health Insurance (NHI) bill seeks to give South Africans of all races, rich or poor, and legal long-term residents access to quality health care. It was passed by lawmakers last year and is set to be implemented in stages at a cost of billions of dollars. The opposition parties and civil society groups wanted the bill to be referred back to Parliament, saying it was flawed in its current form.
The aim, furthermore, is to promote health equity and to actively reduce health disparities by providing essential health services to all individuals, regardless of their socio-economic status or geographic location.
The bill will be signed into law tomorrow at the Union Buildings, the presidential office in the capital, Pretoria. It comes just days before the May 29 national election that could test the ruling African National Congress's 30-year rule. South Africa is still considered one of the most unequal societies in the world, with a huge wealth gap, and 84% of South Africans rely on often poor quality public health care.
And now let's join our business news desk for happenings in the business sector.
The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, plans a major restructuring in its operation, aiming to transfer about 5.5 trillion naira in development finance activities to a combination of private banks and development finance institutions, DFIs. According to annual reports, this move aligns with the recommendations from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, on the need for the country to streamline its economic policies and focus on core central banking functions. Under the new strategy, the CBN will gradually phase out its direct involvement in development financing, which historically included lending on concessional terms to sectors like agriculture and small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs. These activities will now be handled by DFIs jointly owned by the Ministry of Finance and the CBN, as well as private financial institutions. The IMF has been supportive of this shift, suggesting that it will help the CBN to focus more on its primary roles, including monetary stability and regulation. It has also recommended that the concessionality of new lending should be limited to areas where market failures are evident. The Naira continues its depreciation against the US dollar in the foreign exchange market. Data from the parallel market section and FMDQ showed further depreciation against the dollar yesterday. At the parallel market, the Naira was sold as high as 1,517 per dollar yesterday, before settling at 1,500 Naira per dollar. The figure increased from the 1,450 Naira per dollar it traded at the weekend. Similarly, at the official market, FMDQ data showed that they dipped to 1,478.11 per dollar yesterday from 1,466.31 Naira last Friday. This represents an 11.8 drop from the 1,466.31 naira recorded last Friday. Earlier, the Central Bank of Nigeria Governor, Mr. Olayemi Cardoso, said the Apex Bank's Monetary Policy Committee will do everything to bring down soaring Nigeria's inflation, which stood at 33.22% in March 2024.
Victor Osimhen and Bruno Onyemaechi have joined Super Eagles injury list ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers against South Africa and Benin. Osimhen did not take part in Napoli's training yesterday after sustaining an injury in the Partenopei's Serie A clash with Bologna last weekend. Napoli forwards underwent recovery work for a muscle strain. The injury has put him in doubts for Francesco Calzona's side's league clash against Fiorentina this weekend. Left back Bruno Onyemaechi is already ruled out for the remainder of the campaign due to knee injury. AC Milan winger Samuel Chukwueze is also a major doubt for the two games as a result of an injury. Moses Simon, Saidu Sanusi and Tyrone Ibrehi have already been ruled out of the qualifiers due to a long-term injury. Vice-Captain William Trostekong recently returned to training after undergoing surgery at the end of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations. Still on sports. News unveiled Super Eagles head coach Finidi George has debunked rumors of a strained relationship between him and some Super Eagles stars. Finidi reportedly fell out with Ademola Lookman and Sadiq Umar during the Super Eagles friendlies against Ghana and Mali in March. Lookman featured as a substitute in both games, while Umar didn't step on the pitch at all. The 53-year-old claimed he has a cordial relationship with all his players. And now the thought for today. The only way to achieve the impossible is to believe it is possible. And that's our thought for the day. And just before we go, here are the highlights of the news. Participants of the Senior Executive Course 46 of the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies NIPSS Kuru Jos in Plateau State, who are on a study tour of the state, have been challenged to provide a roadmap for policies that will mitigate the nation's challenges. Governor Sheriff Oboriwori gave the charge today when he played host to the participants led by Air Vice Marshal B.D. Solomon in Government House, Asaba. The member representing Ughelli North 1 constituency, Honorable Matthew Omonade, has been suspended from his legislative duties for 14 legislative days by the State House of Assembly over alleged gross misconduct. Honorable Omonade's suspension was equal to motion moved by the Majority Leader, Honorable Emeka Nwobi, seconded by the Chief Whip, Honorable Perkins Sumokoro, at plenary. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, has threatened to embark on another nationwide strike to protest absence of governing councils in all federal universities across the country, among other issues the government is yet to address. And from abroad, we did report South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa is due to sign into law a contentious national health bill that aims to provide universal coverage to millions of poor citizens. A national health insurance NHI bill seeks to give South Africans of all races, rich or poor, and legal long-term residents access to quality health care. And that's our news. Thank you so much for being a part of it. On behalf of the entire news crew, Joy Ucheyi is smiling. Good night.